worthiness that we would like to talk about is that resources for polling agents, we were the only party that raised the issues of agents. Out of the 210, only 112 constituencies had agents. When we started raising the issue of polling agents, we said polling agents enhance the credibility of the electoral process. And therefore, it was important that we have all the 11,000 polling agents in all the 11,000 polling stations, because polling agents are monitors, they are not observers. Yes, we had so many observers, but observers just observe an election, and if they find anything wrong, they can only talk about those things after observing. But polling agents, if they observe something which is not right, can raise that issue, and they have every right to stop the electoral process. Hence why some of us were saying our major concern was the security of the vote, and the security of the vote was only going to come when we had all the 11,000 polling agents from beginning of voting to end of voting, because these are the people who are going to say how many people came into this polling station, how many people voted. These were votes which were counted. These ones were gotten by this other political party, or these ones were gotten by the other political parties. But unfortunately, in some polling stations, we did not have polling agents. And I think it is a testimony of other political parties who are also crying foul that they did not have polling stations, hence why they cannot produce all the V11 forms. On the media, both public and private media were biased. Public media only came to the party late. We were the first party to launch our manifesto, and yet got 30 seconds coverage. In some instances, even the private media, where we had advertised with the little money we had, took it upon themselves to abuse and demand and demean our candidate. Credibility of the election. ZEC was administratively disorganized. There was very little time given to voter education, which might have led to a high percentage of spoiled votes. 3 days to the election, the voter education materials were still outside. Nomination was not consistent, as there were different standards and rules. Public relations and communications was very poor. Centralization of ZEC, including accreditation of my own chief election agent in Bulawayo, was difficult, as they wanted it to be done in Harare. Lighting system at polling stations was very poor. If you look at some tents didn't have lights, people had to use candles. In the rural areas it was even worse, because most of the schools do not have electricity. So people had to use candles. Some of them tried to use their phones, but batteries went off. So the lighting system at polling stations was very poor. Vote buying. There was open vote buying which was reported to ZEC, and ZEC did not do anything. For instance, in Gai, there are certain people giving people $10 to say vote for this particular candidate. And there was maize which was given to every vote, during that particular period. And these particular incidences were reported, but nothing was done. The security sector. This was our major concern. Our assessment before and during the elections, the offhandish approach displayed by police as if they were sucking from the core military intervention. It was clear the army and the police were in different spaces. This remains our main concern. As you know, at some point we attacked at the Supreme Court, and in full view of the police, they marched and they never, did anything. And I think with what happened on the 1st of August, you could see that there was a laissez-faire approach, and this is the reason why it resulted in the casualties that we had. So for us, we've had problems with the military, with the security sector. The way forward. This election was a legitimizing election. Our problem has been the issue of illegitimacy. The question for every Zimbabwean is, what do we want the next 5 years to be about? The choice is very clear. We either can continue to be a divided, polarized nation, engaging with the international community as a divided nation, or be united. I have one common goal. It is, in this light, the president-elect is advised to immediately after inauguration call a meeting of the 22 candidates and give them an opportunity to speak to a common vision. Please note, my party is not calling for a government of national unity, but for a common purpose and an opportunity for those that wanted to be part of the elections. We need to show the world that we are together in the quest to change the lives of our people. We need to have a non-toxic, non-contentious discussion on electoral reforms now as we have an evaluation of the elections. The international community needs to give Zimbabwe a chance, including assisting in the retraining of the security sector in being civilian forces. SADC should engage with all political party actors and ensure that Zimbabwe can move from the election mode. I implore opposition parties to understand that elections can have preconceived results. It was a mistake to raise expectations that we may not be able to live with. And like I said earlier on, as a party, our major concern was to make sure that we move this country forward. As a party, we participated in this election because we believed that we were going to be the alternative. We believed in equal opportunities for all. We believed that we were the party which was going to ensure that every Zimbabwean is given equal opportunities. And for us, it was never about power. It was about moving the country forward. As we sit right now as a political party, we are not concerned about power. We are concerned about the 13 million Zimbabweans who are longing for a better life. That is all we're interested in. People want jobs, people want food, people want houses, people want, water, they want electricity, they want all the basic needs. And they can only get those basic needs if we are united as a country. As Dr. Thokozani Kupe, my plea to all Zimbabweans is that let us unite as a nation for the sake of all the 13 million people in this country. It should not be about Thokozani Kupe, because I contested as a presidential candidate and therefore I am supposed to be the president and no other person. Let us look at those people who support us. Let us look at our followers. Let us look at every Zimbabwean. So our plea as the MDCT is that we want to move this country forward. People have suffered for a long time. Zimbabweans have gone through untold suffering for a long time. And now they want a relief. They want a better time, a better life. We want our own currency as a country. We want industry to open so that people have got jobs. We want everyone to enjoy being a Zimbabwean. And this is what we are calling upon as a party. We are saying, let us unite as a nation and move our country forward. So this is our message to every Zimbabwean. And I would like to thank all the Zimbabweans who voted in this election. Like I said earlier on, the pre-election period was very peaceful. I don't remember of any incident. There might be incidences here and there. But generally speaking, because I do not want to exaggerate things or to try and come up with certain perceptions. Because I have contested in elections since 2000. I know what I have gone through. And comparing with previous elections, honestly speaking, in this particular election, I think we enjoyed, the freedom of going to vote. Yes, as a party, we have raised issues with ZEC. There are things that they did not do to our own satisfaction and to the satisfaction of many people. Those particular things happened. But however, we are saying, for the sake of moving this country forward, it is important for us as political parties to come together, put our heads together, put our minds together, and make sure that we move this country forward for the sake of every Zimbabwean, for the sake of our country, for the sake of oneness, for the sake of us having a better life. So this is our message to every Zimbabwean and to all of you. I thank you.